Um, I'm doing YouTube recording. Good evening, everyone. There are a couple of people yet to join. I will send the reminder to them to join. Let's welcome our trainer for today's Sridhar Ranganathan from District 120. First time I know about him 2 years back by my mentor Arun Ramanathan. He gave his contact number to reach out. And my mentor Kavina Ilavarasan was then president. And we had a very interactive session on speech writing. And today, this is very exclusive writing or a training about international speech contest. And the contestants are representing from the club at the area level. It's a special event curated to have an interactive session to understand, to improve a skill at the area level better, and to keep going on your public speaking skill. That's the overall agenda. And to talk about the speakers, Mr. Sridhar Ranganathan is a co-founder of Jokes Apart and also member of steering committee in the Department of Biotechnology and Ministry of Science and Technology, Government of India. He has been part of Toastmasters since 2005. I've participated in more than 150 contests across the club, area, division, and district. He is the current 2024 and past 2021 district champion of international speech contest. And he has been at the district finals for ISC 12 times, humorous contest and table topic contest 5 times each. And he is also district champion of evaluation contest in 2024. He was also served as area director in the year 2023. Let's welcome our trainer, Mr. Sridhar Ranganathan from Chennai, District 120.
Thank you.
Doing YouTube recording. No, sir. All set.
Okay, so how would you want to take it? Do you have any questions first? How would you want to? I want to understand what are the requirements and expectations and what questions you
Requirement is very
have.
simple, sir. Just the event whole idea is to have an interactive session to interact with the contestants to understand what is the contest because you've been there for many times. So how it has differ from club level and what is the importance, how it has benefited you in a professional way, why people should go for the contest every time. Because Toastmasters is all about public speaking. And since you are a CEO, in spite of that, you are very focused on the contest and why, and what is the learning for you as a contestant every time.
Okay, good. So now I want to try and make it as interactive as possible because it's not an education session. This is more focused on people who have already cleared the cup contest and going into the area contest. So I want to share some of my inputs and clarifying some doubts. Now, how many of you know? You can actually unmute and tell me how many of you know who's the current world champion of public speaking. If you don't know, it's fine. Even I don't know the name. So
Our name is Louis.
no, you don't. You don't have to. I want to. I want the.
Contestant, please come on camera so that it will be very interactive.
Even if you unmute, it's fine. If you don't want to come on camera, but would anybody know who is the current world champion of public speaking? Shall I take it as a no? And which district do you all belong to?
District 1.
We belong to District 121.
Very good. Okay. I wanted to check if everybody is available. So now, who is the current champion of District 121?
We're not aware of that.
Oh, very good. Okay. So now the reason why I'm asking this is with all the hype that is created about the contest and with so much of pressure, sensation, and all happening, the most important person who actually gets benefited out of this is only ourselves. And in fact, I had a session day before yesterday on Saturday. it's called Champion Incubator. District 120 had actually organized. Thanks there for putting the name. So District 120 had organized something called a Champion Incubator, where they had around, I think, 40-50 people who had come. I had a 2-hour session as to how to script a speech, basically. And they had introduced just then me saying that, like, how they had introduced saying that he's the current champion, district champion of 120, 2024, and he was a past champion 120 in the year 2021 and all that. So then I asked the same question to all the people there. Tell me who's the current world champion. Only 2 people said that I know the name. And then I asked this question saying that, tell me who's the current district 120 champion. And 4-5 of them raised their hand and they were laughing because they could understand the question and the trick that I had in that. And rest of them, just the 30 plus people, didn't even realize that I am asking a question of something which got just introduced, and I am referring to myself. Okay. So it really doesn't matter. And then in another education session, I went and asked people saying that, who is your club champion last time, you tell me, in ISC? Not more than 3 people knew, and they were the number 1, number 2, and number 3 people in the club contest. Rest of them didn't even know who won the contest in the club level, because a lot of attrition happens and people keep changing, and we may not even remember what happened 1 year back. All these things are harsh realities. So it is not for us to gain popularity, or it is not about what the world sees. How do we make an impact for ourselves in becoming a better speaker? And that to me is extremely important. I'll try and share a screen, a presentation of what I did to my own club recently, and then maybe that could be useful to you. And then if there are any questions, I'll definitely be happy to take it. Okay, so many questions which run in people's mind is, am I a contest level speaker? How is a contest speech different from regular speeches? How do I select a topic? How to script the speech, and how do I ace delivery? What if I fail? How many times should I contest? When can I be sure I will win? All these questions may actually keep coming in people's mind, and I'm sure some of these questions are there in your mind as well. So, as Uday had mentioned, this is the flow of my contest participation so far. If you're able to see it, I started my first contesting in 2006 after I became a Toastmaster in 2000, end of 2005 or something. And the first year itself, I participated in the club and I won. And then thereafter, at that time, the configuration of the area and division was different. And then when I went to district final, I got disqualified actually. And then in 2007, again, I participated and did not place. And then 8 and 9, I was not a Toastmaster because I had to take a break when I had a change in my professional role. Thereafter, from 10, I kept on participating every single year. So you can see here, 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. Except for the year where I was actually the area director for B1 when I was not eligible. Otherwise, I have had varied success. I've gone up to district, as I had mentioned, some 12 times. I did not place. I placed in the top 3 and all that. 21 and 24, I have won at the district level, and I am yet to cross beyond district into the regional level as such. And then humorous, I've been there between 2007 and 17, evaluation 2014. And I also was part of the table topics contest till 2019. After that, I stopped participating in these things. I continue to focus only on this one. First and foremost, I want you to understand the judging criteria for the contest, because you are participating in the contest and it's different from regular speech. Would any of you know what are the distinct differences between a club speech and a contest speech? What comes to your mind when you think about it?
Judges.
Judges, okay.
The quality of judges changes from club level to contest level.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
And if I could add, the audience that changes.
Sorry?
The audience that's receiving a speech is different.
Okay. Anything else? Others?
Audience response.
Okay. Any other point?
Relatable to the audience.
Okay, no, I mean, can the others respond? I mean, I want to know how do they think it's different? The totally four other people, right? Other than you.
I think,
Yeah,
hi.
please.
I think in club speeches we can use props,
Okay.
but in contest I don't think we can use props.
No, but you can. So, I mean, you
Okay.
can use props also. But the major thing in the difference is, see, club speech is particularly when you're doing it from a manual, it is focused on that particular project and the guidelines or the objectives of that particular project. Whereas when you're participating in a contest, it encompasses everything, whether it is in terms of scripting or in terms of bringing in similes, triads, metaphors, or in terms of bringing in inspiration, motivation, humor, body language, vocal variety. You see, everything is encompassed in that. So it's kind of a holistic presentation of a speech. And as you all mentioned, audience is different and the judging is different. So these are the things which are additionally coming. So which means you are put to while club things are like practice or you're in a gym, you're training, this is like an event or a competition that happens where everything is holistically put to good use. In a gym, or if you're even taking coaching for a particular sport, not all days they will be actually making you play. If you're playing badminton, one day they will expect you to undergo muscle training, they'll expect you to undergo strength training, endurance and all that. And then when you actually go for the event, you put everything, all the muscle strengthening that you did and your mind related stuff, your endurance, everything you are putting to good use to make sure that you're winning. And sometimes the opponent could be easy, you can win over them easily. Sometimes there could be a tough opponent. So similarly, in a contest now, what happens is you are putting all possible aspects to good use. And some of the aspects which you are not yet strong on will not reflect that much in the presentation when you're making in a contest. And that's where you will start working on it. So it is important for you to identify. For example, I have put three major elements: content 50%, delivery 30%, and language 20%. From a Toastmasters contest point of view, these are the three major elements which are there. So 50% of your uh, evaluation goes on content. So which means even in that, if you see the breakup, speech development has 20, effectiveness is 15, and speech value as 15. So you can go through it and then at a later point of time, you can understand what each means. And delivery has 30%. And in the judging item, you have physical, voice, and manner. And in the language, it is appropriate and correctness in terms of grammar, pronunciation, and word selection. Now, each one of you could be strong in one, two, or three elements, or weak in one, two, or three of the elements. Now, how do you address area which is important for you to address so that you can excel on that in that area is very important. Now, if you are only on the weakness, you may not be able to develop. So, how do you leverage the strength that you have to address the areas which you are not strong on will make you a holistic speaker. That's the key to me, right? Winning is only incidental so that you move on to the next level of challenges. Like how in a video game you actually complete one level and that gives the kick for you to move to the next level, and then subsequently you move to the next level. That's how you move on to levels. But at each level your level of difficulty increases, and to that extent you will be put to tough competition, and thereby you will be tested more, and thereby you will be able to gain more out of it. And that's the key point I want you to keep in mind. Now, the most important question which people ask is how do you select topics? So I'm going to give you a list of things which I actually have written down here. I can send this PPT if you want, so you don't need to write down a copy, but I leave it to you. Now, normally what people say is you take a message and then see how you can drive that message with example. But I go exactly the opposite way. I have a list of, say, 150 to 200 events that happened in my life, and it had a significant impact. It could have been an emotional impact, it could have been a humorous impact, it could have been a motivational impact, inspirational impact that I had in my life. And how do I make best of that incident to see what all can I add to it to bring out a particular message? And that's why if you see, if you look at the things in bracket here, are the speech title that I've made over the last 20 years or so. When I went to Kathmandu for a meeting in my organization, I was just curious because we were planning to go on a flight trip to Mount Everest. We wanted to go on that Yeti Airways Mount Everest trip. And I happened to search some important information on Mount Everest. And at that time, I get to read about a person who basically has scaled Mount Everest, or he tried and failed even before the first official people scaled Mount Everest. And he had a very interesting interview to give. Its name is George Mallory. And he finally says, I do all this because it's there. I don't gain anything out of climbing Mount Everest, but I do it because it's there. So I was fascinated with that particular incident or the interview that he had given. And I thought, this is how many things that happen. Even in Toastmasters, we go and we achieve, and eventually we may not get anything when we finish our speech, when we contest and all that, but we do it because it's there. So I developed a speech based on that. And then immediately I went next week when I was there in the club meeting, I gave a table topic speech and people liked that. And then I developed into a ISC speech content. So whatever I get, the key thing, as I told you, I listed down, and then I convert those into speeches. So these are the speeches that I have. And then you have another page where you have many more items like this. So I put all these things to good use and see how I can. So somewhere at some point of time, I would have given this as a table topic speech at the club level. And when something matures well, when people accept it well, then I take it to the next level. So I can put this one. So if you look at the purpose, uh, eventually now what has happened is more than winning contest or anything. I've been, including today, if you see, I've given 400 plus education session and keynote addresses in TMI itself, actually. And then I've given 200 plus presentations in non-TMI fraternities. I've started a company called Jokes Apart along with another Toastmaster. And I have made more than 400 unique life and leadership quotes that I have been able to do. And more importantly, today I know 6 new people. Maybe Uday I already know. 5 other new people whom I've come across in my life, which I probably didn't know so far. And that to me is very important. And I believe that those things have really made a strong this one. And these are some names which I got yesterday. So I can probably say that I will be getting these names today. So these names, for example, were not there with me till day before yesterday. Yesterday, I met these people and they have become friends for me as part of my this thing. So I think the most important thing is the purpose as to how you can make use of the whole thing as it is. With this background, I want to stop sharing and ask you, when you're now going into the area level, what questions are there in top of your mind which you want me to address? Anybody has any questions?
Yeah, thank you very much. I have a question.
Please.
Okay, sorry, my kid is crying in the background. I hope you don't mind.
No problem. No problem.
Yeah, so the question is regarding balancing the emotional impact, right? I've seen like multiple speeches where the impact of emotion already has taken the center stage. And you probably are coming with a speech that is not that of emotional impact. So how do you balance that one out from the judge's perspective or from the audience perspective?
Yeah. So eventually what happens is if there is a message or an event that really touched you, it will bring out the right emotion, whether you are inspired by it or you actually felt very sad about it, or you had an anguish or something. If that incident had really made an impact in your life, that emotion will automatically come out from you because it's quite native to you. You will be very natural. So if you see the first one, as I told you, I found it to be fascinating that somebody can actually go without expecting anything and put every year. In fact, he had tried it for 15 years. He kept on going and coming and going and coming and going and coming. And in fact, if you really go through the whole incident, he says that my wife had actually given my picture, her picture, and I kept it there to tell me, saying that whenever you reach the top, you leave my picture on the top of Mount Everest. And apparently, the last visit when he went, he never came back. He died there only a few meters away from the peak. And then people, when they walked further, found that the photographer's wife was there a little ahead of where he was. Maybe he died. He died when he was coming back after scaling Mount Everest. So this really touched me. And when I found that people are doing so many things for the sake of, without expecting anything, and for the sake of adventure, the whole emotion comes out naturally, right? And then I was talking about my mom, how she does, even though she has arthritis, and she lifts my son who's more than 10 kgs weight at that time, and then feeds him, even though we tell her not to do it. And there are people in Toastmasters who go up to the district level, contributing significantly as district leaders without getting a single penny out of the whole thing. And why do they do it? And if you go and ask them, they would say, because it's there. And that's how my mentor I actually look at. So you put the whole thing together, naturally ideas will flower out of you, and the natural emotion will come out, and that anybody would be able to connect very well.
All right, thanks.
If you don't mind, can I ask one question?
Yeah, please.
How to overcome popularity and biases? Generally, this is the general talk to any contest. We go, there will be one speaker who is very popular in Toastmasters. Obviously, there will be biases. How to, as a contestant, to tackle this fear of popularity?
Now I'm on the other side, right? Because I've been contesting for 20 years or so. I'm sure many people will say, why is this fellow coming every time? And people will automatically make him win and all that. Two things. One is, I have a very strong faith on the Toastmasters system, right? And there could be, it's a level playing ground for people. There could be some bias in people's mind. I do not know. And at the same time, there could be bias on the other end also, right? And this guy, I mean, some judges may be thinking, saying that this guy has been there and I don't want to get influenced by that. So I want to look at him with a lot more harsh eyes. And, I want to be more critical on him. And there is a possibility, and that can also be correct, right? Because the chief judge would say, don't have this halo effect and all that. And they may be viewing it even more critically. So it has both pluses and minuses when you really look at it. But I have a strong system. And I also believe that if you one day want to become a world champion, if you're not overcoming every single aspect, imagine if you go to world championship finals. Okay, there may be somebody who's coming there for the last 10 years. And if you're not able to have a speech which will beat that kind of a champion, then you are not bound to be a world champion, right? And similarly at the district level, if you don't have a speech which will actually beat even a guy who has been there for 10 years, 15 years, then you are not bound to be a champion there. That's how I look at it. Whereas the risk that I have is, see, after being a district champion in 2024, this year when I go at the club level, I can get beaten by a member there, right? And that member could be just 2 months old in the fraternity. And if they finish that level 2, they may come and give a tremendous speech, and the judges can get carried away by that, and they may be able to make him the winner. So I have that fear even in the beginning itself. So it is both ways. And I strongly feel, as I told, my purpose is to actually become a better speaker. I have put myself into various developmental processes in public speaking. For example, if I start developing a content, 5 years back, it would have taken at least 1 month for me to master the script in terms of writing, bringing in the right examples, making the right statements, and that. For this year in 2025, I made 3 speeches. I participated so far in 2 clubs and 1 area level. And I challenged myself to say that I wanted to develop 3 different scripts. So on March 1st, I contested in 1 club in Chennai Wordsmiths. I gave a different speech, new speech. And March 2nd, I participated in another club contest, which is in 360, which is my second club. I gave a completely different speech. And in area contest on the 22nd of March, I participated and I gave a completely different speech. Now, that's the way I've challenged myself, saying that I should not give the same speech. In the gap of 3 weeks, I wanted to develop 3 different speeches. And I've been able to give successfully and win over those speeches also. Now, that's a challenge I've given to myself, right? So, how do you keep challenging and how can I bring in more delivery? I'm a very stoic person. I cannot jump around on the stage. So, my 2015 and all, if you see, my speeches would be very, very stoic and very kind of very rigid. Now, I loosened up. Last year, I gave a speech in the International Speech Contest Finals where I had a lot of animated action on the stage. So, I wanted to conquer that limitation that I had when I became a speaker. And I'm happy that I'm able to overcome that. So similarly, wordplay that I use, the content making, humor, everything I start experimenting. And in the process, I've been able to holistically develop myself. So if I'm able to present a holistic one, and if I'm able to make a huge impact, and if I win, I feel happy. And if I don't, I take it in the right spirit and move on. That's how I look at it. So it's better for us not to look at the judging criteria. I mean, the judges' mindset and all that, how they do it. And I'm not saying that everybody is perfect. Even judges are human beings. They're toastmasters like you and me. And I've seen many different types of judges. They'll be very biased. There could be, but you don't need to be worried. It's a level playing field and it's the same ground for everybody.
How do you overcome the fear of losing?
Yeah. So if you're playing any game, on that particular day, we play with a lot of passion, enthusiasm, and energy, and we prepare a lot for that game. And when you lose, you will naturally be upset for that day, but we don't give up on playing at all. So similarly, I know that if I have a chance of not performing well, and as I told you, I will basically focus on the areas which can give me that confidence. And for example, in a speech, if the first 30 seconds I'm able to gain that confidence, I will be able to perform very well, and probably that fear of losing would not impact my speech that day. So I master the first 30 to 45 seconds or 1 minute of my speech very strongly, where I will not miss at all, even if there is a very uneventful situation. For example, if I'm the number one speaker, if the mic doesn't work well, and if I have some other competitor who's a very strong competitor and all that, the first 1 minute, if I'm able to really master and make a convincing, impactful presentation to myself, then it can probably lift myself to the whole, to a different level. That's how I put myself, my things in my mind, saying that, okay, how can I overcome the limitations and the challenges that I have to see how I can manage.
Very good analogy. I like the way you connected with the sports. Guys, I just want this session to be interactive. Please unmute yourself, ask questions. Whatever you have doubt, even if you're new, no worries. Ask doubts about what is ballot, how can I prepare, or what is speech, how it can impact your career or your public speaking journey. Please unmute and ask questions so that it will be very interactive.
Or, you can share your experience also. I'm fine with that. It's not necessarily questions. I can also learn something out of it. And if you have something interesting, you can share it as well. Use this as a good platform to interact. That's all.
Yeah, sometimes I get too much carried away by the speech in terms of the personal stories, right? Too much personal stories. So I'm not quite sure whether the number of eyes me that I make is giving something to the audience. So how do you involve or get the audience along with your speech? I know it is very personal. It connects in terms of emotions, but in terms of the message, whatever that they are running away with, right? How do you give them what they wanted?
No, it's a brilliant question, sir. What I'm saying is, I think it's a very valid point. In general, what I do is I have an algorithm or a formula that I follow. The personal example has to have a lot of I's and me's, and you can't help it. And when you are scripting it in such a way that the other person actually puts himself into that. For example, when I talk about my mother, or when I talk about a job challenge that I have, or when I talk about an experience that I underwent in the society, let the person in the audience start thinking about his or her own issues in that area. Right? If there is a job problem, let them also think that I also have the same problem. So that relatability, if you are able to bring it in the script, that I and me would not really make a major, doesn't become an impediment for you. Now, for a reasonable period of time, say up to 3 to 3.5 minutes of your speech, you can narrate this, the setting, and then the challenge that you had, and how it is impacting your life, and what were the challenges that you had. They would definitely relate with you very well, and they'll be happy knowing what all problems you had, and it's not overwhelming at all. At some stage, you say what transformation you had. So you say that I had this transformation, and thereafter I am a very different person. Now move from I to you then. So then what happens? Many a times people will also ask, okay, would people not thinking that I'm preaching? What authority do I have to go and tell them you do this and all that? I actually have beg to differ there. Once you said that I have this problem and you had a transformational episode or a message which actually transformed you, and then you have been enjoying the benefit of the transformation. Now, what more authority do you need to speak on it? So it is not arrogance I am saying, but it is confidence that you can bring in to say that I actually have been benefiting out of this transformational incident or a message, and now I want you to do it. And hence, friends, in case you have a problem at job, in case you have a problem with your boss, in case you have a problem with your children, whatever I have done has become very successful for me. You can try and you can become successful. So naturally, you are transitioning from the I, me to a transformation, and you give the credit to either something or some episode which transformed you. And then how you are benefiting out of it. There, you're telling that I'm a beneficiary of that. And I want to pass on that benefit to all of you. In case you have something similar, please make use of it. And that balancing will really help you significantly. That's how I have experienced it so far.
Thanks. When it comes to humor and emotions, right? What do you weigh in? Do you weigh in on emotion or humor?
I give preference to be as light as possible, actually. And from the light-hearted level, if you're able to take it to an inspiration or a motivation level, I prefer that route. Of course, emotions have sometimes can make a different impact when compared to humor, because people may really get touched by that and all that. But somehow I feel the entire journey of Toastmasters, I wanted to make it as enjoyable as possible and as relatable as possible, as light as possible. And hence, as a choice, I have taken it as many as possible, as much as possible, the lighter route. So out of the 20-25 speeches that I have made so far, not more than 3-4 would be emotional. The rest of them would be 20 of them would be more on the lighter note. Actually, in fact, some of the humorous speeches I take it to ISC and then build around it so that it becomes more inspirational, motivational than being emotional.
All right. Sometimes I see that people coming back with the same script with some additions the next year. So you've been there for so many years. So are you not running out of the scripts or the topics for speeches, or do you, or have you ever tried working on the same script polished in a way the next year or maybe the year after and used it?
Plenty of times, now I'm saying after 20 years of participating, I can say that, okay, I can get new scripts and all that. But even 5 years back, it used to be sometimes huge pressure on me saying that, okay, why is that I'm not able to build a new script? Because sometimes you'll fall in love with your script so much, and that becomes your benchmark. And even if you develop a good script, you will make it against your own speech. Oh, it is not like what happened last time. It has gone up to the district level. Whether this speech will really go up to that level, does this possess that element, those elements to actually become? So you will start getting a lot of stress out of it. But then I thought that also is a limitation which I should say I've overcome now. And then sometimes I'll think, okay, what will happen? Yeah, 20% of the Toastmasters only are the same. Next district conference, 80% of the audience will be new. So what is wrong in going back again with the same speech? And in any case, good speeches should be heard more. All these things will come to convince me. But I have overcome that over a period of time. Now I can tell you that it's not so difficult if you really have our eyes and ears open to find out good speeches actually. And if you're good at table topics, you will be able to pick up some good incidents and build that easily. So that's a evolution that I've had, I should say, but I have undergone this challenge for a long time.
So there is no hard rule as such, right? You cannot use the same script that you've used in the past.
Nothing at all. In
Because
fact,
you have to,
Manoj
first of all, you have to
Vasudevan was
convince
a world
yourself
champion.
that the judges, as you said, most of the people will be new the next year.
Right. Absolutely. In fact, Manoj Vasudevan, the 2015 world champion, actually used the same script what he used in 2014 World Championship final, with just some modification of the title and the content, but it was just the same.
That's right, yeah.
2017, if I'm right. Manoj Vasudevan, and he had used it in 2014 the same.
Mr. Sudesh is it reached district twice, but he chose to participate in another area. He's not participating in my area.
But it's
Because
fine.
young contestants are there in the area, so he chose different area for the young people to participate in the area.
Wonderful, wonderful.
He has been, that's why he is asking, he had a very dream to be the world champion of public speaking.
Perfect, perfect. Yeah,
He's
yeah.
very passionate about
Everybody
I can
has.
relate I can relate to that.
Yes. Subhasri, you unmuted yourself a while ago. Do you have any questions?
Now, even I wanted to ask about the content. So, to be honest, I really don't have that much of like life experience to talk in every speech is right. So I wanted to check if we can talk about a book that we read or a movie that we saw, or would it be a compliance saying that it's not a original content?
Yeah, so if you are able to talk about the impact the book had on you and how life has changed, so naturally the quote or the reference to the book only will be an anchor or an incident. It will become incidental for you to actually change your life. So you say, my life was like this, and after I read this book, my life changed and I'm very different. And that's the impact that book would have had, right? And you build that as a speech, it will make sense. Suppose if you're going to give chapter 1 to chapter 10, these are the things which are there in the book, and that would not probably qualify so much into the content of the speech, which may not really be accepted well by people because you're just talking about the book. Generally, in a speech contest, you become the hero and it is your perspective. You may be a victim or you may be a witness to something that had happened in your life, and you can speak on that, and it need not be your own incident. It could be your siblings, it could be somebody in your office who actually had difficulties, and then you were able to tell something, or they read a book and then they were able to transform, and after that you fell in love with that book. It could actually be put in a different way so that it becomes entertaining for people. The speech is about how do you engage. See, even if you look at, forget about the contest and Toastmasters and all that, if you have to talk about a simple philosophy of life, for example, take honesty is the best policy. Anybody can say honesty is the best policy, but why is that when a guru says that we accept it differently? When somebody whom we look up to, like Dr. Abdul Kalam or somebody, says that, we take it more seriously because the way it is presented, the authenticity, the credibility is very different. So similarly, when you're speaking, this becomes very useful even in an organization. So hence, if you are having a particular book or a particular story, how that book or story transformed you, the before and after could be a good way to create a speech, and that can be very impactful, I feel.
Okay, thank you.
So I actually have one small question that is there.
Yeah,
So there's something about hooking the audience in that first few parts. So if we ever so not the structure wise, but the time wise, if I split my speech, there's always that first 30 seconds or something where I need to hook my audience to have everybody's eyes on me. So if I have my whole speech has a message, but to hook my audience, I actually want to add a story which is not 100% in line with my message, but it reminds me of something else and it's somewhat closely related to that message. So what I want to ask is, first, if I give that hook, the story or something, and then make them laugh, and then switch into some other message, the whole of audience minds gets confused as to what is this guy trying to say. But I still want to do it. So out of your experience, if you have ever come across any speeches or if you have written speeches where the starting is something, but then it goes in a direction, but then the whole speech takes another turn. How do I just lay that properly so that it, uh, works
So the
out well?
beauty would love in how do you bring in a smooth transition between what you had initially stated. See, in a 6-minute speech, you need to keep in mind every second is very important, right? Forget about 30 seconds. Even for 5 seconds, if you're making a small gesture, if it is not useful, it can dampen the speech. But if you really feel that I want to hook the audience and find a way to get into transition, and that can be humorous way also, right? You say that you may be wondering what relevance this has got for my speech. Friends, that's how my life has been. Many things happen in my life with no relevance. And here is another story that I'm going to talk to you. Probably that may be very relevant for you. So here, where apparently there was no hook. Now you have tried to put the hook and then say that and then come back and connect. Maybe there are many things that happen in your life which may not be relevant, like what I started with. But a few things that can be relevant can become very profound in our life. And that's what I want you to carry with you. And conclude with the same thing.
Okay.
Right? Milk as much as possible every character, every episode, every humor that you are doing, so that it actually becomes useful for you in the speech. They don't mind, but if you don't milk it, you will lose.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Sir, can I ask a question?
Yeah, Uday.
So oftentimes when I speak on stage, I use a lot of I's. But if you see any world champion speeches, they use a lot of yous. For example, Dhananjay's speech, he says, "You and this flower are same, and like flower is unique, you are unique." Use a lot of yous to connect the audience, whatever he brings the content. So
Correct.
the you factor is very important in ISC speech.
Yeah, so naturally, the most important person whom you have to address in the speech is the audience, right? And today, even if I am going to give that speech to you, if it is not relevant, you will not even be listening to it. Okay, I give my experience, but the beneficiary is you. And that's why we are asking, saying that, okay, you tell me what problem you have, that I have encountered this. You may encounter the same problem, but if I have handled it this way, you can also handle it this way. Even the contest example you take. So it is about me, but for you. That is very clear in a contest speech. If the due factor is not there, the speech will not run at all.
Sir, if I may ask a question.
Please.
So actually, I am someone who likes to explore philosophy, and it inspires me to write speeches. So recently, I just saw a couple of movies, that I felt, resonated. The philosophy resonated with me. For example, the Tom Cruise's Last Samurai, and then Dead Poet Society, Robin Williams. So these have some profound philosophies within it. But when I try to put it into a speech form, what I find is okay, to have an opening, get into some of the philosophy, and then how I try to apply it in my life or someone I know their life, and how it comes to you. But the time I do all these four, I never see there is any time left. I see it'll go over the time limit. I struggle with that. And I really love the philosophy. I don't want to cut that part also. I'm not sure. Is it because I'm looking at the wrong topics, or is there a way to accommodate that with these same topics?
Correct. So, see, we always have, suppose if there is a 1 hour given, you may probably be able to do full justice to what is given. But the beauty of Toastmasters is how can you actually find the most critical things and then build it into the speech for 5 to 7 minutes. And similarly, if you look at in an evaluation, how can you talk about that entire speech? And when you come to evaluation, you probably will be able to give a lot more. But as a speaker, how can you pick up the most important ones in those 2 to 3 minutes and make still the speaker get motivated to come back and speak again is a challenge, right? And this is like a gym. So if you are able to put the whole thing together, and for that you may need to sacrifice some of those things which you are obsessed with, which you feel you're able to connect very well, because the other side in the audience may not want to know everything in one go. If you're able to give one speech now, and then if you're very good, people would come back to listen to you another time. At that time, you can give the speech. And if the audience is really interested, they'll come and talk to you in more in detail. At that time, you can even spend half an hour time to actually express that. So the idea is, how do you give a summary or a condensed version of what it is in 5 to 7 minutes? Thereby, it actually can trigger a life-changing experience for them. Is all about Toastmasters speech. Because sometimes we also know that it's not sufficient for us to conclude that in 5 to 7 minutes. So you may have to painfully withdraw a few things that is happening. And especially if it is a live episode and all that, in 5 to 7 minutes, it's impossible for you to conclude. So that problem will be there for everybody. But then we will pick up the most important ones and give it, and then see how you can expand it. You may even write a book with that once the speech becomes famous.
Who is going next? Okay.
Shambhavi, I think you had some question. I saw you opening, unmuting.
Hi, Shambhavi.
Hi. Yeah, I missed the part actually because I was traveling, so now I've rejoined.
Okay.
Such yeah, no question. That's why I was unmuting because I rejoined the meeting.
Okay. No problem.
If not, I have a lot of questions, sir. Don't worry, I have a lot of questions. Circling the title to the characters. Again, the Dhananjaya speech. I see something. He didn't tell full what is people saw. Then he bringing the title through his father's friend in a very subtle way, and then through his wife. It is very humorous again. So bringing the title, I see something. Everybody knows the title with a speech. The content is very relevant to this thing. This I seen in many of the speeches. The title is connected through the body in some way or through character. Something is saying or repeating it. So how to do this? This is an art or is it essential?
See, honestly, there is nowhere in the judging criteria for you to win a championship speech, you need to connect the title, right? Technically speaking.
Technically, yes.
If you really look at one of the, Aaron Beverly, I think, had a 52-word title. Do you know that?
No, no.
Yeah.
His title had 52 words. Okay, so now how will he be able to connect it? And he actually used that to talk something else, how can you be brief and how can you actually be short and all that. So again, title is more an aid for us as to how we can make use of it the way we want. For example, Prasyan Vasilev, in the speech that he gave, the title was changed by a tire. Okay, he doesn't repeat the title, but he explains how the tire was getting changed and how he got a different message out of it in terms of reach out. Then he said, reach out is the message that I have. So whenever you want something, reach out to people.
Mhm.
Now, change by a tire never came, and he only said that night, I changed the tire, and the tire changed me. It was in the beginning. After that, he never brought that line again. So it depends on your skill, your style, which will really be able to bring out the best out of what you want. Some titles are really used very strongly.
Okay, sir. Priya, you are on mute for very long. Do you have any questions? Toastmaster Priya? Jai Chandra, do you have any questions?
Udaya. So no, I think I'm just listening.
Great.
Yeah, then I have a question. It's about conclusion, right? In most of my speeches, my message comes in between, comes and goes, comes and goes. So I don't give a lot of time for the conclusion. Usually it is 1 or 2 sentences and then I conclude because that's only the amount of time that I would have by then. But I've seen speeches wherein they focus more on that conclusion part, at least one big paragraph. And I felt that, okay, that's a good idea because that is what the audience run away with, what the message that they get. So do you see that the conclusion, we should focus more, give more time to the conclusion aspects, just like the opening?
In fact, I would feel conclusion is the most important part of your speech. Because whatever you have told, towards the end, if you are able to summarize it and get the audience to nod their head to say, okay, what you are trying to say, And then at that particular point of time, in less than 45 seconds or so, if you are able to conclude with a bang, then the speech will actually have accelerated impact or an elevated impact much more than what otherwise you would have had, even in a good speech, the setting and good story that you have made. Conclusion to me is extremely important, and you need to have a very strong conclusion, including the pause in that, looking at the audience, maintaining eye contact, giving that smile to the audience or whatever emotion at that particular point of time, using your hand gestures differently. I think to me, conclusion itself is a speech, and you need to factor that very strongly.
Right, thanks.
Thank you. Who else have questions? Okay. So what about analogy? Like, example, I came back to Dhananjaya's speech. He has the rose. Ramona's speech, she had a title called Still Standing, and she talks about boxing. Even the three different stages of life, she used round one, college, round two, marriage, and round three, speaking. So she bring that boxing element into the speech. She had a title very relevant to the boxing. Does analogy bring some extra flavor to the speech?
Relevant analogies do bring in Jock Elliott, who is the 2011 champion. I think there are no analogies basically, and he'll only use in one way where he said, "Blood is thinner than this one, and my brother, blood is thinner, thicker than something, something like that, right?" So not too many analogies, and he will just go on to talk about his people, this one, his friends and families, and he will conclude the speech with no great analogies and all that. But still, he won the world championship. So, but analogies definitely are appealing to people, and it can really trigger better connect with them. But if it's relevant, then you may be able to, you'd really be able to do it.
Yeah, of late, I see that some of the speeches are more inclined towards tall tales. So, how much tall tales can be part of your speech?
See, if it's a real episode, and if you're able to exaggerate it, that's okay to do. If it's a completely unreal episode, then people would read between the lines and they may not really enjoy that's happening in an international speech contest. In a tall tale contest or in a humorous speech contest, people may still enjoy. But in a ISC speech, I feel that if there is a real life episode and you are exaggerating that to some extent, adding some kind of an illogical element, suspense and twist to it, and thereby it becomes a tall tale, it's still okay as long as it is within the limit of not considering the audience as fools or something like that. For example, last year when I won the championship, I had used the episode of a dog chasing me. How
Okay.
a dog was chasing me, and I ran, and then finally I realized I should not have run, and I come back and give an analogy. I mean, give a conclusion saying that don't run, confront up front, something like that. So there it was like a tall tale, but something happened, and I built in some exaggeration in that.
Okay, right.
One more thing, people are more inclined to the Toastmaster inside Toastmasters. They give speech, but they include a lot of Toastmasters thing. Some of the people, like even Dhananjay, I love that speech. He says that he didn't say Toastmaster, he says people talking in a stage club. He completely avoided the Toastmaster element in the speech. So what about this aspect of speech? Do we can include the Toastmaster element in the speech or not?
Uh, if you're happy doing it, why shouldn't we, right? And sometimes we get a mental block in our mind saying that, okay, what if I talk about Toastmasters, if the judges don't take it seriously? What's wrong, right? I feel if you're happy about talking, if you're happy talking about Toastmasters, and if that example can connect with people very well, why not? But I do agree. People will say, okay, these people will look down at you when you're talking about Toastmasters, and as if it's easy and it's something which is low-hanging fruit, and hence it's not given a serious impact. I don't think that's right, but we should enjoy doing it.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions, Sambhavi, Subhasri?
So when is the area contest?
April 5th.
Oh, coming Saturday.
Coming Saturday.
Yes.
Wonderful. Yeah. Great. So if you have anything beyond this also, please feel free to reach out to me. My number is available with Uday and I'm happy to contribute in as many ways as possible because I've gained a lot out of this fraternity and people like you have helped me to reach where I've reached and I'll always be happy to share anything that I am aware of if it can help you. But just enjoy contesting irrespective of the outcome. Keep coming back again and again. You will really transform it. It's a metamorphosis. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for all the insights. It's really helpful and definitely will work on the suggestions and feedback that you've given. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
I have
All
a
the very
final
best.
question.
Yeah.
How this contest will be in your professional way? Is it help you
Big
to
time. As I told you, see, today
Mm.
I have a government role in the Department of Biotechnology, Ministry of Science and Technology. I've started a company called Jokes Apart, which is along with the Toastmaster, which is into communication and all that. All this is because of my contest and my ability to communicate. In the steering committee in the Department of Biotechnology, there are 17 members who are there. 14 of them are from academia. Like you have the Dean of IIT Delhi, you have Jawaharlal University Chief of Biotechnology and all that. There are two people from Skill Development Council, the only one person from industry, and that's me. When I asked the secretary, why did he actually take me, then he said, it's because you're able to communicate, articulate very clearly, and you're able to bring in the translation strategy impact very clearly. And that's why we wanted you to be there. And all this have happened because I've been able to put everything in 5 to 7 minutes. Correct. When somebody asks me to speak, I don't speak more. And I know how to bring in humor if it is required, even in a serious situation. I know how to probably organize the speech with an opening body conclusion. I know what to repeat, how to emphasize, how to conclude a speech, and all that. And that has really helped me in getting a government role, helping me start a company. And I'm an advisor for more than 10 companies now, and I'm an independent director on the board of a few companies. So all these things I owe majority beyond my knowledge and capabilities to contest and Toastmasters.
Wonderful, sir. Wonderful to know. That is the ultimate thing why people should contest. People are thinking of the title. It doesn't going to help us. What is the
Yeah, but otherwise nobody remembers, right? World champion also we don't remember. District champion nobody remembers. For me, it's important. Whatever I am in my life is because of my contesting. And that's the only thing I've done. I'm not a DTM after 20 years, right? I have not gone beyond area director. And that area director also I became because it was online contest. I didn't want to continue to be participating in online contest after I won. So I just said I'll take a break. And that year people said, why don't you become an area director? So I became, otherwise I don't do anything else in Toastmasters. So only contest. And because of contest, education session and knowing people, that's all. My Toastmasters relationship is only that much.
Yeah. I remember you travel all the way from Chennai to Bangalore for LA 1924. I was there in the education session.
Correct. I enjoy doing that. That's all, right? And if you look at it, it's all probably will look very selfish. It's more everything for me, but that's my focus. I don't want to do anything beyond, and I'm happy in this space.
Wonderful, sir. Thank you so much for your time. We learned a lot from your session. I request the audience to come on camera so that we can take a group picture with Mr. Sridhar Ranganathan. Shambhavi, Priya, please come on. Narayanan, Subhasri, Sudesh.
If they can, I think if they're not able to, it's fine.
No, people are coming. Some people might be traveling. Okay, let's go.
Just a moment. I have to edit the permissions on my tab.
Oh, okay. Okay, we are waiting for you. So we have a very three different club. One is a community club. The three are corporate clubs. So into pharma, IT company, and one more is a aeronautical company. So three different sectors coming in. So different audience, different contestants,
Oh, great.
very unique culture.
Who is the aeronautical company?
Nitish from Moog. Moog is a Boeing company, and he's an IT guy, but the company is an aeronautical company.
I'm an independent director in Unimec, which is a aerospace company in Bangalore.
Wow. Narayanan also from that Moog. Subhasri
great.
and Shambhavi from HP Elements.
Oh.
They are into HP computers, software segments there. And Sudesh, Priya, and myself are from Electronic City, where Arun Ramanathan and Kavina belongs to.
Oh, okay, great.
That's how we connected. Okay, let's take like this love.
I don't know how to do it, but okay.
There's the modern symbol, model symbol for love. Okay, let me take the screenshot. Okay, I did.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for everyone joining. Thank you so much, sir, for your time and for your.
My pleasure. All the very best to every one of you. Looking forward to see you on the big stage soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
There you'll share